No matter how we fight to of metal has begun, and metal shall prevail. For we know what they have done. 5 legends of our realm who sought to follow the path of their dark musings. But they did not know what they had summoned. Pentakill. To these creatures, there is but one thing left to do. Heavy metal.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the world's Rundown Under, episode 5, and upsettingly, our final episode. Do not worry, though, there will be plenty more coming some other later stage. I really hope, because I'm super excited about this particular show, because we are coming up to the grand final. That being said, we're going to start off with a little bit of a retrospective view at the semi-finals, just to see what exactly went on and what we can expect from these teams when they do move over to that grand final position. We are also going to be having a quick lightning round of questions with my lovely co-partner here, my co-pilot, who is, of course, sitting on the chair next to me. We are, as well, going to be going through, of course, the top 5 plays, our featured champion, and, of course, our featured players as well. Then we're going to have a deep dive into what to expect from the grand final. But let's begin by introducing my beautiful co-pilot, my Duo Q member, Mr. Julian Pastrytime Carr. How you doing, man?
You forgot giver of the pentakills, but yeah.
Yeah, the Penta donator.
Dude, I donate so many pentas to this guy.
He certainly does. So it's the 2 days in a row, I think.
Yeah, it was dumb. You've got like 4 or something.
Yeah, 4 in my entire life, 2 of them in back-to-back days. It was fantastic. But let's jump straight into a bit of a lightning question round. Yeah, allow me to just pick up my little sheet of paper with my secret questions.
Oh, no. I have no idea what's going on, by the way. This is actually our secret. He's not kidding.
Oh, dear. Okay. First question, beer or scotch?
Beer.
Wow, that was really quick. I thought you were going to say scotch. I don't know you as well as I thought. Salty or sweet?
Salty.
Of course.
Just like my favorite question.
My favorite question. Favorite ability name?
Oh, Hextech Micro Rockets.
I needed to give you a Heimerdinger-based question. Just needed to happen. Your fondest casting memory?
Yeah, the Jungle Hammer game between GSG and CJ Antis.
That game was beautiful. I actually watched that live.
Nice.
Yep, that was
It was a fun game.
That was
You and a
many
lot of other
moons
people.
ago.
It was a while ago. End of, 2 years ago?
Yeah,
It was a while ago.
yeah. I idolized you at that stage. Actually,
Aw.
I did. You're my favorite.
I'm here now, it's alright.
Least favorite champion. There's a hint behind me.
Least favorite champion? Man. Fine, Jace.
That's my boy. Thank you
I
very
actually
much.
have no
You were going to
idea.
get kicked off the show if you hadn't answered that. Of course, this is a bit of an in-joke. Our good friend Riot Benji, who is on the broadcast desk, his favorite champion is most definitely Jace.
We'll definitely
and
have
he's now
It's alright.
saluting to the
I'll
air.
have some nice things to say about Jace later on as well.
Okay, well, let's just quickly jump back to our semi-final matches, where we did, of course, have Samsung White and, of course, Starhorn Royal Club coming out victorious against their opponents of Samsung Blue and OMG, respectively. And there were some pretty surprising games, to be perfectly honest. I was not expecting Samsung White to 3-0 Samsung
Yeah,
Blue.
the nature of those games was just insane. Like, people were saying it's kind of like solo queue. Like, guys are just getting like dumpstered, for lack of a better word. But like, I don't know, man. Like, it's funny to see White, a team that's so bad at beating Blue in best of five, just get steamrolled, and it just shows how well White are playing. Like, they pulled out a lot of really cool picks. Dandy played Rengar basically, I think, for the first time in the tournament, and they just ripped through Samsung Blue. And to be honest, with the way Blue have been playing the whole tournament, with how they've looked, I'm not super surprised about the result, but the way White did it, like, with the way they were playing, I think that's how we expected the games to go, just because that's how well they've been playing.
Yep.
But of all the teams to do that against, I feel like Blue was not the team we thought that was going to happen to.
Yeah, and the thing that was really interesting to me was the fact that Samsung Blue and Samsung White play against each other so often, so you get a lot of these really interesting picks when they have to try extra hard to really surprise one another, because of course, you know, sister teams, you're going to be scrimming against each other
They're
all the
not,
time.
no, not during the event though. That's the interesting thing, is that they're completely separate scrim partners. They basically, they said in the video feature, I believe, they just don't talk to each other when they're at a tournament. They're like, no, we're separate teams now. We want to win and you want to win.
Well,
We're
you
just
sort of
gonna-
have to do that, don't you? Just
Yeah.
separate and make sure that you're both given the same chance. You don't want to have these weird times where you're beating up your friends and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
but that's what happened, is that they just stopped scrimming. They scrimmed different scrim partners. They didn't scrim each other. They barely talked to each other. They kind of maybe just hung out as a team outside the game. But in terms of preparation, they were apparently just preparing completely as though they were two different teams.
Yeah, well,
And it
Samsung
showed,
Blue
like, White
definitely
just
looked
destroyed
like a
them.
different team. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was just a little bit ridiculous. Let's hop on over to the Chinese side, where of course we
Oh.
did actually have a best of 5 series, which was exciting. 3-2
Rather than a
in
weighted
favor
best of 3.
of Starhorn Royal Club, but OMG, they just didn't turn up like they did in the corners.
Well, they did and they didn't. Like, OMG to me just kind of played like OMG. Like, the team's really good when it gets going. That was kind of what I said in the pre-show all those many shows ago. And it's just a thing where OMG, it's just inconsistent. They're a really strong team, really strong players, but if everyone doesn't show up, then you're not going to win. And honestly, Royal looks surprisingly consistent throughout the tournament. Their bottom lane's always really solid. Uzi is like really, really good at not just like being beast and killing everyone, but just he's consistently good even when he's losing. And his team has stepped up as well. And to me, Royal deserved to win that series. They just played better throughout, even though OMG played very, very well.
Yeah, do you think it has something to do with San not necessarily looking as strong in that AD carry role?
Potentially. I mean, Son looked really scared against Uzi. Like, they did not want to fight him at all. Like, he was picking Corki, this champion that's supposed to be quite good against Lucian, and all these other champions, great against Twitch as well, and just refused to ever fight a 2v2, I think, in the entire best of 5, except when he had Lucian and they already lane swapped and had a bit of an advantage. So, yeah, I mean, Uzi's a scary guy, and Sam was just like, I don't want to fight him. But I think Son played fine. It's just like, cool, especially for me, just did not show up to this game, that series in particular, especially that last game.
Yeah, of course. And when Korn isn't necessarily the caliber of mid laner that a lot of these other Worlds players are, I mean, this was his opportunity to shine, and he wasn't really there.
Korn played really well, actually. Like, Cool did not play very well, but Korn, Starhorn Royal Club's mid laner, who's consistently been beaten by Cool.
He has, yeah.
And like all the other laners in the LPL, he played really, really well. So, yeah, as I said, the solo lane stepped up from Royal. Insect played great. Uzi played great again, and Zero kind of tied the room together nicely. Like, they just consistently played better than OMG, despite OMG having many, many, many flashes of brilliance.
Yeah, and now it's incredibly exciting because, of course, we get Uzi back-to-back.
Yeah, World Finals.
World
That's
Finals.
awesome.
It's ridiculous.
First player in history to ever do it. That is ridiculous.
And he also did it by basically carrying his team there. He was just absolutely ridiculous throughout the entire group stage, quarters, semis, everything. He just brought everything that he had to this. And when he came into it with all this sort of contention, it was a little bit worrying.
Yeah.
There was, stuff on Reddit, all that sort of stuff.
All that stuff on Reddit.
Yeah. But, he looked a little bit shaky. Came in and he's holding his team together like he's the glue.
Yeah, and it shows. Again, he's the rock from that team. He always performs. He's the star of it. Everyone else stepped up as well. And when you have an AD carry that good, and the rest of your team is also playing well, like, you're going to go pretty far in this tournament, as it turns out. And Uzi deserves everything he's gotten so far. He's played phenomenally.
Yeah, not to mention Insect being...
Oh, man, that guy's really good.
Yeah. And
we'll talk about him later.
Yeah, exactly. And that's actually going to get us into our next point, because we're going to have a look at some top players. And I think Insect might feature just a little bit in this one, of course. Our first one is going to be a bit of a face check.
Yeah, this was a pretty interesting 1v1 here.
And if you notice, Janna actually pops her head out of the side, so they knew what they were getting into.
Yeah, it's kind of a little too late. They get 5-man tornado, just plus a bunch of damage coming through there as well. And it's just like, what are you going to do? Fiddlesticks as well, probably my favorite part of the level 1. He just throws a dark wind, bounces off everyone, silencing them all. They all get knocked up by Janna. Oriana's auto-attacking people. Janna's in there. They've got, I think, Arcane Smash from Makai as well. And Twitch, of course, does decent damage level 1 with his passive. So, yeah, they just rip through OMG in that level 1 fight. And that's just a very, careless face check, as we see it again here. Insect just goes in, pops it up, card out there as well. And just look at that damage. That tornado, absolutely beautiful.
And it's also really good aggro juggling as well by Starhan Royal. As you see, Cola flashing out of there. Insect goes really, really low as well. So they soak a lot of damage, and then OMG find themselves on the run, and Uzi's at full health with a Janna shield. So he has so much AD.
And that's against a team, honestly, that, blow for blow at level 1 probably is better than you.
Yeah.
But they found a way. They just OMG face checked the wrong brush and got destroyed, basically.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And there's the fact that as well, maybe they thought that Fiddlesticks had have already skilled Drain, because of course he is in the jungle.
Yeah. But Insect very cleverly held on to that point.
Yeah, of course. And I guess most pro players are going to do that. Yeah. But let's hop into our number 4 play. Of course, going to be... Oh, goodness. There and back again. Yeah, a Nexus story with Starhan Royal Club and OMG.
Yeah, this is a long one here. So this team fight's going to break out here. You can see just a ton of AoE as Starhan Royal Club, despite being monstrously behind in gold, managed to turn around a big AoE fight. And this was really the turning point in this entire series for me, is this kind of series of plays that we'll see. So Starhan Royal Club, okay, we have to push. We have an advantage, so let's keep going. So they're going to speed up through the mid lane here, try and do some damage to the Nexus.
We have actually sped this up. They didn't just pop a ridiculous talisman ascension.
They didn't just hack the game, and this is what's happening. OMG make the mistake of trying to base race, basically, and then this happens. And thankfully for OMG, they don't actually lose the game at this... Oh, no, they do. Never mind. Goodbye, friends. Sorry, that was the other play I was thinking of.
And it was the incredible sapling as well that came in to stop the backs. We are going to slow this down just to have a look at that incredible Shockwave and Crowstorm combination. Insect's just doing so much damage with that ability.
And Kohler as well, able to hold people in place with the Maokai and the Janna to follow up as well. Really nice Zhonya's usage as well by Korn, who dodged and Nidalee pretty much would have gotten eaten by Going if he hadn't done that. So just a really, really strong play. And that was the game where OMG should have won and then taken the series 3-1 or 3-2, but they just couldn't get it together. Their team comp was a little too all in on split pushing, and every time they tried to go in, Royal Club was like, we can wait, we can give this up, it's fine. And then, fine, we'll fight you now. And you see what happens when you fight an AoE team.
And there's the fact that Royal Club as well, there was no question they were going straight up that mid lane after they got those 3 kills. They no chasing, nothing like that. It was a clear call, and they won the game because of it. And it's just incredible to show how in the game and clear communication that they had in this best of 5 series that can really take it out of you. But let's have a look at our third play in our list. And this one is definitely exciting. This is the original. This
is quite the journey. So we're going to start the team fight off here. Cool's going to jump on a Twist of Fate, try and stun up, but Cole is really his only target. Spear misses as well, and then it's going to roll through. Cloud actually gets a nice grab here onto Insect, boxes as well, but there's actually nowhere for them to go. He dies instantly because he gets bursted down. A beautiful Crowstorm into the Shockwave to hold them all in. And again, this is the other example in this game of Starhan Royal Club just understanding what their team comp's supposed to do and team fighting really, really well. Great Frost Queen's claim slow there as well. Cole is on the side to do it. Cool, who flashes over the top. And they're actually going to go for the win here, Starhan Royal Club, which makes sense. I mean, not necessarily trying to end the game, but they need to do damage. So they're pushing through here. They do get through a lot of the base at this point, but they're not able to actually push through everything. And it gets kind of interesting. The play we just saw actually follows this one, so you can kind of understand the aftermath of what happened with two really good back-to-back team fights. Love the reset by Zero there as well, just to kind of heal everyone up, and they're going for it. Cole's just in there, Jana Shield's on top of him. Cools can't really do anything. Maybe if you got a red card, do some AoE damage, but he's just going to die, basically. Like, Twisted Fate's range is actually quite short.
Oh man, Zero takes so much damage as well. Of course, doesn't have too many defensive statistics at this stage. And
then realized, you know what, he actually have to run away here from the Thresh on the Twisted Fate. Twisted Fate doesn't have his ultimate, thankfully. Nice slow from Uzi as well, as he ambushes away to keep Cloud away from him. But this actually gets super interesting, because Going, who made some really heroic teleports throughout a lot of the game, just spears Zero in the face, and this is probably the sweetest spear ever. I don't know how he hit this, by the way, but he just trains Uzi with that spear and then Flash Pounce kills him. Doesn't even need the Q.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and it's interesting to see these AP Nidalees coming out as well, especially after the rework when AP Nidalee took a massive hit. And they're coming back in, doing a lot of damage.
She's still good. She's not nearly the same champion as you before, where you hit one spear and the game was over because someone died.
Yeah.
But she still does a lot of damage. That's a no magic resist Twitch, I believe.
Well, yeah.
Against a 4-item Nidalee. Remember, OMG were like 10,000 gold ahead at one point in that game. It was ridiculous how far ahead they were. So Cool's doing a lot of damage. Oh, sorry, Going's doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, Cool was too.
He was also doing damage.
Yeah, most definitely working out.
Some wonky item choices there kind of really hurt OMG. And like they execute funnily enough, the fourth game, they pick almost the same comp with some minor adjustments and then roll through that game with the Twist of Fate split push. But if they'd have made some adjustments in game or in the draft, if that third game there, they might have been our finalists instead of Royal.
Yeah, and I think the thing that I found really interesting, especially about that game, is it sort of epitomizes what went on in that series, which is Royal Club just having so much more cohesion and target focusing that was just immaculate in comparison to OMG in a lot of these fights, because like especially that one that we just saw at the beginning, OMG didn't really know what they were doing, and they land a nice Thresh hook, the box goes down, but then there's no follow-up, and Starhorn just waited until their moment and then pounced.
Yeah, and I'll have to come back to how to Royal have been playing, because they're really different from a lot of other Chinese teams, but a few more players to get through first as well.
Yeah,
so
let's go to our second best play. Of course,
I mean, these players are all pretty good.
Yeah, well, yeah, we say second best, but this is just ridiculous. And this is the game one between Samsung Blue and Samsung White.
Yeah,
and
this just demonstrates how far ahead Samsung White are capable of getting against the team. I mean, the goal difference isn't that massive.
It's only
at this
15
point.
minutes, and they're behind the towers.
Yeah, this is the coolest thing to me, is they basically choose to team fight proxying between two turrets here. So they're going to go in, Dandy pops his ult, they back off immediately when they see Jana peel off Acorn as Looper's trying to tower dive here. Great ult by Mata, actually moves Looper towards his turret. Moves Acorn towards the turret, gives Looper a free way to get out with his ultimate as Akali, and then it's just clean up from this point onwards. Now, Impia does flash away, gets healed, Pawn immediately jumps in, gets the kill, and then Dade a little late on that knock-up just gets destroyed by Pawn as he goes in a little late on that ultimate. And for me, that whole thing is just Samsung White. They're so good at team fighting. You even put them in like a really dumb situation, the 18 minutes, diving for like a full-on team fight between turrets, and they're still able to come out ahead. Like, the team's just dumb. Yeah,
it's just ridiculous. Plus, if you did see Pawn do that slight sidestep to get away from the knock-up, and I mean the ultimate there from Dade was just beautiful. Just wanders, lists lazily to the left.
Yeah, and Dade as well, like, I think that sort of play emphasizes how he was playing in that series. Like, he went on tilt, basically.
There's a little bit of desperation.
Yeah, I mean, he was just like, I got to get a kill, I got to get going. Just gets completely destroyed by Samsung White, who have showed in any situation they're capable of keeping calm heads all the time and just playing perfectly.
Well, that is absolutely wonderful, because that segues perfectly into our number one play. This is Dandy keeping an incredibly level head.
Oh, Dandy. There's so much. There's not enough, I feel like, we've said about this guy.
I've got a lot of feelings towards him. I'm not going to lie to you.
So we actually do have a mini team fight here as well before we get to Dandy. Acorn flash ults in there. Black Shield a little bit late off Morgana. Pawn is able to jump back in. A ton of damage going on to Galio, who's just not really able to do anything else. Spirit does manage to pick up Imp, which is good, but Pawnier is going to duel with Mata. Does a crap ton of damage to Dade, who does finally go down as well. But here's this play. Dandy on no health, flashes away, bowlers, and then pops the W. We'll see it again, and Dandy, like, you can't understate how sick those reflexes are.
It's absolutely incredible.
How much awareness you must have of your champion to know what to do in that situation. He bowled mid-air knowing he would get a heal off his W because he'd hit max ferocity, and then just pops it as soon as he gets jumped on. It's just like, this guy knows his champion well. But we are going to see it again. Again, the ult slowing down here. The Samsung Blue, honestly, just too far behind at this point to really fight. And Pawn in particular on this Jace just does a a massive amount of damage. He eats the AD carry there as Lucian goes down, and almost like 4 shots Dade's Rise, who's the only fed member of this game, before dying with cleanup from Mata and Lupa. But Dandy here in your bottom left-hand corner, he's going to be going back in. Dade will go down as well. See you, mate. And yeah, again, Dandy, no health, but knows exactly what he has to do. Flashes out of that last auto, bowler, jump, W, Q, see you, mate.
It's just absolutely incredible. And the fact that Kha'Zix can't do anything while he's in the air, and he uses that W when he's flying over the top of him, so there's no Q going to be coming out that would have definitely killed him. He just insta-kills him.
Yeah, and it just shows that Dandy, we praise him as such a strong strategist. He's got great presence of mind in the jungle, always counter-ganks efficiently. Counter-jungle's like a monster in pretty much every game he plays. But he's shown multiple times at this World Championship. He's also just a mechanical god. Like, he's the full package. Not to mention his vision control is impeccable.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's really good. I think we can just list everything that you want in a jungler, and Dandy's pretty much
he's basically a perfect all-round jungler. It's just insane how much work he does.
Yeah, it's absolutely amazing. To be perfectly honest, Samsung White's entire roster,
they're pretty good. I'm actually sad that we already covered Dandy and Pawn as some of our featured players from the show already, and they both played spectacularly in that semi-final. So.
Yeah, well, not to mention Imp, Mata, and...
Oh, they're all really good.
Like, it's just... It's just a bit silly.
As I said in the pre-show when we talked about the team, I was just like, they're disgusting.
Yeah, it's a little bit too much skill. Like, let's take some skill out, switch some players around, it'll be fine. But, speaking of champions, we are going to hop over to our featured champion for as little time as possible, because, of course,
there
it is Jace.
It is Jace. And... yeah, it's not just a joke that our lovely producer, right, Vanjie, also loves Jace way too much.
Way too
But Jace actually had like a massive impact. He was picked or banned in every single game of the semifinals, if I recall correctly. And pretty much he does everything. Like, he's a really strong mid-game champion, and he's almost only good at that point. He drops off a little bit if your team's not ahead or you're not able to use him. And we saw that in the group stage where EDG played Jace and just couldn't close the game against AHQ because... they didn't have a comp that was good at team fighting. They had a Jace and a bunch of poke and some initiation, but couldn't close the game out.
You can't really initiate when you've got a team that's
But Jace is like a really strong poke champion. He's got great siege. But my favorite thing about Jace is that he enables your initiators to just go super deep with acceleration gate. Because you just pop it, Rengar runs in. You saw a ton of that from Pawn and Dandy when Samsung White played. Even champions like Maokai, we saw speed in as well. Lupa's Maokai being played there as well. Just being able to get in and out of fights quickly when so much of the champions being played, especially in the top lane and the jungle, are these really heavy initiation champions. Like, Jace is just awesome. And he's also like, he's kind of like a semi-carry, semi-assassin, jack of all trades sort of champion. He just does a bit of everything.
Yeah, and you can definitely control what you're going to do as well, using that range form if you need to stay back, and you can also jump in for the finish. It's really beautiful. One thing that I really want to note is the fact that we have sort of a resurgence of what was happening earlier on in the season when we had so much Karma and Sivir being played, and it's like people are employing this new donkey whistle method where you just either pop on the hunt or you put down your acceleration gate and you can really get everyone in there. And when you've got champions like Maokai that just want to get into the backline and Twisted Advance, it's just beautiful to see, like, finding different ways to make old strategies work out beautifully. And the other wonderful thing about Jace is the fact that you've got this mid-game power that a lot of teams have been going for in this World Series, where like Rumbles are being picked. People want to get the power as early as possible so they can close out games and not get to this tedious position of being in this late game where you have to make these really difficult strategic calls that you can't necessarily plan for as easily.
Yeah, and it's again like... Rumble's a good champion because we kind of evolved from a lot of tanks being played in the top lane to Rumble killing all the tanks. And when you get to that point where players are just playing the game over and over again and trying to play for the mid game, as you said, where like the second dragon is probably the most important part of the game. Yeah, like you just bust that wide open with a champion like Jace. He's so strong in the mid game. It's just dumb. He gives you so many options as well.
Yeah, and if people are hanging around that Dragon Pit as well, those Shock Blasts are going to be doing so much damage and so much work getting people out of there that you're not going to have people milling about and you're going to have these standoff situations as much.
Yeah, I mean, like, we could talk about Jace for a long time, but we won't. There's enough Jace for now. All right. But he's really good.
Yeah, let's hop over to our first featured player. This is, of course, going to be Lupa from Samsung White, the third Samsung White player that we have featured. Because, of course, all of them are incredible.
We couldn't get to all 5, unfortunately. We only had 4 shows with featured players, so couldn't get there. Lupa's really awesome. I think for me, he's kind of stepped up the most in some ways as a Samsung White player. Like, everyone talked about Dandy coming in, Imp and Mata coming in, and everyone's like, yeah, Pawn's good, but he's like a little passive. He showed up massive in this tournament.
My goodness.
And then Lupa as well, like, yeah, he's kind of passive. Like, it almost felt like we've got Imp, Mata, and Dandy as, like, your carries, and then you're kind of being supported by these utility laners in in Pawn and Looper. But Looper, like, I described him as like Samsung's janitor. He just cleans up every single fight. It's so funny. Like, he's played Kassadin, Akali, like, even when he teleports in, he's one of the best teleport users in the entire game.
I was going to mention that, of course. Even on Akali, who doesn't have any CC that they can bring, he teleported into that bottom lane, picked up a double kill straight off the bat, which allowed him to snowball that entire first game.
And he did that constantly. Like Samsung Light plays this really aggressive style where Imp's trying to get in aggressive with Twitch or Tristana, and Dandy's like counter jungling the utter crap out of you, and like just getting in your face trying to initiate on top of you. And Pawn's like either playing a super utility champion and like trying to help the team do that, or playing like a massive assassin just going super deep. And like when you play like that, when Imp's getting super aggressive, doing massive AoE damage, you need a way to actually like kill people, right? Especially with Kha'Zix being so popular. Like, you need a way to actually team fight so you get resets. And Looper is the best player in this tournament that's just been like, oh, you're low, I'm going to kill you, and like just resets on top of people all the time. Like, he got a quadra kill as Kassadin after getting a double kill under tower at a dragon fight. Like, the dude's just insane. Every time, as you said, every time he teleports, like, people die. Like, lots of people die.
And he's also incredible at target switching at the right times as well, based on the champion that he's playing. So he'll lock someone down. Like when he was playing Maokai, he'd lock someone down, use his CC, allow his team who had the damage to kill them, move on to the next target. We saw that in one of our top plays. He actually locked down Dade, knew that he's Maokai. I mean, he's not going to be doing any damage. He's going to focus his next target. And when he's on Akali, though, like he's just going to be jumping around these fights. Of course, went 9-0-8, something absolutely filthy like that, and able to really put his control in a different way and knows how to utilize champions effectively in different ways.
The thing that's funny to me is that Looper actually plays the same way. He's he's super utility focused, always teleporting in for his team, coming in to clean up and like lock down targets. But when he's playing an assassin, instead of locking them down, he just kills them. It's like Samsung.
So that's his loss down. I'm going to lock you down
exactly,
in
forever.
the death chamber. Yeah, it's fine.
Like Samsung's White's team strategy when they were playing these like super snowbally games against Blue was just like, Looper, play an assassin, it's fine. We'll just kill them. Like, we don't need more CC. And that's what happened.
Yep.
He just cleans people up. He's the janitor.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And everyone talks about his rise as well. Didn't see that once.
Oh, yeah, whatever.
But it doesn't matter because
that.
his champion pool is just absolutely ridiculous.
His rise is really good too.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about
his rise is just let's not. Let's move on to our next featured player, which is, of course, going to be Insect from Starhorn Royal Club, coming over from Korea.
Oh, man.
And this guy played Fiddlesticks. Let's just leave it at that.
He didn't just play Fiddlesticks as well. He played Pantheon. Like, this dude just pulls out, like, because I think OMG actually approached their games really well, where they were targeting Insect, because Loveling and Insect actually have really similar champion pools. And so they would like do a lot of bans. They would like pressure Insect as much as possible because he's got this great Rengar, this great Lee Sin. Nobody wants to put him on these big carry champions that he's known for. Hyper aggressive player. Insect just goes deep. Like, he almost feels like a Fizzif in a way to me, who was known for like kind of darrying up the support role and dying a lot, but always making plays for his team when he died. And Insect to me feels like this player where he's happy to go in, dive in for his team, start a fight. He'll die, like 100% he'll die.
Yeah.
But he'll make it work for his team and make sure the initiation happens. And like, he's just got such a big champion pool. Like, I don't know what to expect in the final, because he played Pantheon in the 5th game against OMG when they were like kind of getting destroyed in a lot of the games that they were playing. He managed to pull them out, but he's like got this insane Lee Sin, this insane Rengar, and the Kha'Zix as well. Like, he also plays the meta champions, so I would be afraid, man. Like, everyone's like, oh, Insect's like really narrow champion pool. Is like, no. Fiddlesticks Pantheon, don't worry about it.
Yeah, doesn't even matter. This is Worlds, this is where it's all on the line. I'm going to pick up my Pantheon. I just don't.
He probably like played it that morning. I was like, yeah, it's pretty good. We'll see what happens.
Point and click champion.
Yeah.
They're probably playing into the bot lane. Of course, Pantheon Jace being one of the best bot lanes in the game.
I mean, he always plays like aggressive champions. Like, that's his thing. Pantheon's really aggressive. Fiddle's quite aggressive.
He needs to be able to make plays, of course.
Yes, that's a great way to put it. He's a big playmaker for his team, and it showed. Like, he was easily the second best performing, if not the best in that series they played against OMG.
Well, that's a big call.
He's one of the big reasons Royal are in the final right now, that's for sure.
I think that's definitely the case. Of course, Insect just generally being an incredible player. But let's hop over to our next segment. It is, of course, going to be going over the grand final here. And, man, this is going to be really hard because I do not want to repeat
of the semifinal?
Of last year.
Yeah.
I did not want to repeat of last year.
Basically, everyone's like, please don't make it be a 3-0.
Yeah.
I'm going to be there in Seoul. It's going to be great. I would like to get my money's worth for my ticket. So hopefully make it 4 or 5 games, guys, please.
And
watch the show.
I'm just, according to me, this is my opinion of how it's going to go. If Uzi just loses his mind and kills everyone, then they might take a game.
Yeah, I mean, I think 3-1's a reasonable prediction. I guess we'll get into them a little later. But in terms of overall play style for these two teams, we kind of mentioned it before, where Royal have played their way over quite a few holes, actually.
Yeah.
They were behind in their first game against TSM in the group stage, if you remember, and they managed to come back and win. And
I'm sorry, I don't remember the
and in
TSM
a lot of
losses.
those games, trust me, in a lot of those games against Royal, they came back as well. They were kind of like, we're behind. Like that Fiddlesticks game, they were, I think, still behind about 5,000 gold by the time they pushed down the last few towers and killed the
well, when they
Nexus.
started winning team fights, so they were down 10,000 gold.
8 to 10,000 gold, yeah. And they're the only Chinese team I've ever seen that are confident in their late game, which is really strange. Like, OMG's a mid-game team. EDG were known for their late game as well, actually, but just didn't perform at this tournament.
Yeah,
and Royal
we don't have to talk about EDG.
And Royal seem to have adapted to play very, very consistently Legends, actually kind of across the board. They're known for aggression. They love getting ahead early, and they'll snowball games and win them. But they, especially because Uzi plays a lot of hyper carries, they can take it to late game, and they're comfortable with their team fighting, that they'll be like, you know what, we actually are going to fight you, and I think we're okay with this. So White have been winning all their games in the mid game. So strategically, I think Royal actually matches up okay if all the lanes don't go horribly wrong. And I think that's where the issues might start here for Royal.
Yeah, of course, because we have been mentioning the fact that Samsung White just have this incredible lineup of star players individually. So what are you really going to do?
Cry?
Yeah,
as a Chinese
exactly.
League fan.
Yeah. But one thing I really do want to talk about is contested picks, because there are so many champions that have sort of come out of the woodwork here, and that especially in the AD carry role, this is something that's really exciting to me, because Tristana started off being this like must be picked, must be banned champion. Now no one really notices her, and Twitch has just come out of nowhere, and Imp and Uzi have both been playing him. I think the Twitch is going to be a big deal in these games.
Yeah, so I think there are 3 different lanes in this game. Actually, there are 4, where there are a lot of contested picks. I thought we were going to have a 4-lane game. Like, what map are we playing? Worlds? Oh my goodness. So the shallowest lane is the mid lane for this matchup. Pawn's champion pool is just heads and shoulders and another head and maybe some feet, like ahead of Corns. It's just dumb, like how deep his champion pool is. He's played almost everything. Corns looked really uncomfortable on pretty much every champion he's played, except for Oriana in a couple of games, and even that's been inconsistent.
His Oriana.
So that's the biggest sticking point in terms of picks, is that mid is so far ahead for Samsung. Top and jungle have a lot of overlap just because of the meta. Like, kind of all the top lane champions are really similar, and all the jungle picks are kind of similar as well. And Dandy and Insect both play similar champions. Bottom lane, though, as you said, bot and missing a lane. Oh, support, whatever. Everyone plays the same support.
They're going to be playing Thresh and Janna.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. As Crep have been saying on the desk, if you guys have been following the coverage, it's just those 2 supports. But both of those guys play them well. They play other stuff as well, so that should be okay. But AD carry is the interesting one, because it's, as you said, lots and lots of picks that both teams like to play that aren't really exclusive to how the metagame is. The one thing for me that's the big difference is Twitch's overlap there. Tristana's got a lot as well. Vayne as well, both these AD carry players play,
true.
Which we could see.
And of course, I think it was Imp that got the pentakill on Vayne. Or was that Deft?
Imp's gotten 2 different pentakills. He got one on Trist, and I think maybe one on Vayne, but I can't quite remember.
I know someone got one on Vayne.
Lucian sure as well, obviously, they both play. Uzi especially is a really good Lucian. For me, though, Corki is the pick that stands out, because Corki's been getting a lot of love this event, and Uzi has not played a single game on Corki this entire World Championship, and Imp's played a couple, and he's really good at Corki.
And Uzi has been more than happy to pick up Lucian, where Corki does quite well against in lane.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, a lot of these picks, like Tristana especially, has been dropping off mainly because of Corki. Like, everyone's just like, I'm a really good late game champion. It's like, I don't care. We're winning in the mid game again. Like, the metagame evolving to a point where teams want to win in that, like, kind of that second dragon mark, that 18-minute, 20-minute mark, and just power through there. So it's interesting. I think the bottom lane's really cool, because we're going to see a lot of fighting probably. Yep. But we'll get into that a little bit. But picks-wise, there's quite a lot of overlap in the bottom lane, and I think the junglers is the other sticking point as well, where they both play Rengar, Kha'Zix, and who's the other jungler? Lee Sin. Really, really well. Yeah. And it's like, is Insect just favored now because he has more picks, or is Dandy hiding more stuff from us as well?
Well, I mean,
Insect
had the opportunity to bring out the Pantheon and the Fiddlesticks, but we haven't seen Dandy even be tested yet. I mean, he just may as well pick those meta champions because they're available. Yeah, I mean, no one's been focusing him, because the rest of Samsung White are just so scary on their own. Yeah, the joke before the semifinals was that, like, he didn't even need to play Rengar. No. And he didn't. He played it in the semis and crushed with it, so we'll see what happens. But yeah, that to me is interesting, where Insect has demonstrated a lot of depth, and Dandy, he's just so good. Yeah, and another thing that I want to talk to you about especially is the Chinese meta versus the Korean meta, just because we don't get an opportunity to see this all that often, and China has this affinity with fighting around Baron at all times forever. They want to be killing champions, and if they're not killing champions, they get uncomfortable and search for them and need to kill someone.
So it's really funny that you mentioned that, because the famous, like, it's 20 minutes, Baron should be started already kind of thing, like, that we've seen from a lot of the China v China games especially. For me, though, like, we're talking about mid games a lot and how important that second dragon is.
Yeah.
Dragon is the new Baron Pit. When it comes to fighting, I'm serious. So many teams have been fighting around the first or second dragon, and just like things have been going horribly wrong or really good for a team, depending on what's going on. And for me, that's probably the biggest point where the games will make or break, depending on what happens in kind of the early stages of the game, because these teams have to fight at one point. Basically, that second dragon, depending on when the first one's taken, is pretty much a must contest, and that's when the first major team fight usually breaks out, unless you're like horribly behind and don't want to contest. So for me, the Chinese are all about like 3v3 and 4v4 fights. They really want to just skirmish and fight all the time, as you said, and the way they've done it in this tournament, especially against Korean teams, which has been really interesting, is that they basically scare you with how aggressive they are, and they pressure you into fighting them when you don't want to, and you're like, oh, I guess we better go. Like, everyone wants to fight at that second dragon. You want to fight really badly against Chinese teams because you're like, we have to get this. They're going to keep going.
Yeah,
and like, we're going to lose all our stuff.
That's a lot why Najin Whiteshield lost their match against OMG.
Absolutely. Najin Whiteshield got bullied into fighting and just got crushed in every team fight. And if Royal can do that to White, like keep the game even or even get a slight edge and then just push into them and fight, they can easily win team fights, although Samsung might have looked phenomenal in that area as well. The thing there, I think, Koreans are definitely much more objective focused, and Dandy is the star of the team when it comes to objective. He just controls everything.
Yeah, not to mention Marta's ability to control vision around the map
really
as well,
also.
especially late
I
game.
remember this team.
It's just so good. Stupid. Oh, man.
And I think the lane matchups are kind of interesting here as well. So it's like a little bit about how the strategies work out, and they're very different. And it's kind of a matter of who blinks first. Like, do White keep playing around the objectives and have skirmishes where Royal are okay with what's happening? Like, if they 3v3 or 4v4 in your jungle for a buff, or like in their jungle for your buff, that's fine too. It's the 2v2 and the 3v3 and the 1v1 they don't like as much.
Yeah.
But in terms of lane matchups, like, the best thing here is like the bottom lane.
It is.
Imp Marta versus Zero Uzi is going to be insane. And I think they're going to 2v2 most of their lanes.
Do you think that's what's going to happen? Because I was just thinking, like, maybe they're going to be going for these lane swap situations.
Please no. Please don't do that to me.
I think there's a little bit of wishful thinking
Don't
going
do that
on
to
here.
me.
Oh, man. I think it would be fantastic to see the head-to-head.
I think they will.
It does depend on what gets picked up here.
Of course. But they're both so aggressive. Like, I've seen Uzi this tournament pick Vayne, Janna into, like, Lucian, and it's like, go in.
Yeah, straight up lane matchup. That's fine.
Level 1, shield, tumble, attack you. Let's go. Because Uzi's famous for contesting every single CS in lane. That's what makes him so good and such a strong, aggressive laner. And I think Imp wants to fight him. I think, if nothing else, Imp's pride might get in the way here. It was like, no, I'm better than Uzi, let's fight him. And
they haven't had a chance to show up against each other.
Yeah, ever.
Yeah.
Until now.
And that is going to be so exciting to watch.
Mid, as I said, though, sore point
that's
for
going to
Royal.
be where the problem's going to be.
That point is going to destroy
And the fact
Korn.
that Korn
I'm sorry,
can't
Korn.
play Jace.
He can't play a lot of things.
Well, like,
he can't. He's not played Fizz.
The Jace, man. Oh.
I mean, like, this.
Hopefully he gets banned every game.
We're gonna start running. We're gonna start running out of bans. All right. This is Samsung White's champion pools are so big, and they've got so many threats that teams run out of bans very quickly. Top lane's okay because there's lots of overlap, so I think they'll be comfortable in situations they end up in. And Cole's been playing fine. He's been really consistent. Jungle is the other situation as well. Can Insec out jungle Dandy?
Yeah,
and
that's
I don't
what's
think
gonna
so.
be
I don't
scary.
think so. But I think Insec can maybe out gank Dandy. And Dandy's known for really, really strong counter gank pressure, so maybe not. But if it's going to be anything, it's not Insec invading Dandy. It's them stabilizing their buffs, keeping them safe, skirmishing when they need to get aggressive, because they'll look for fights. That's where they can find them.
Yep.
And for Insec to pressure lanes and try and somehow out gank Dandy.
Oh no, I think that Insec needs to make mid lane a 2v1.
Yeah, that's actually
Basically.
a really good point.
Because there's going to be no chance that Korn's going to hold on against. But I'm sorry to say,
Like, Korn is done. I'm sorry. Korn's
yeah.
playing so well this tournament. And
Yeah.
Korn has played fine, but, like, Korn is easily the best mid laner in this tournament.
He certainly is.
By a lot.
a considerable margin. And if you factor in OGN that we saw Pawn up against Faker do incredible things in that mid lane, 1v1ing him handily. I mean, of course, Faker has to worry about roaming around and shot calling for his team, and when they're behind, it's a little bit more difficult. There's been a lot of things spoken about that, but the fact that a player of such high caliber like Faker can be dismantled by Pawn, I mean, we knew that he was coming in as one of the hot favorites in this mid lane.
Yeah.
And he's definitely
What would
shown up.
actually be awesome, because you mentioned lane swaps before, and I didn't think about it until you just talked about making mid a 2v1.
Oh.
What would be really cool is if they went back to like the old school last year strats from Royal Club and started 2v1ing mid lane with a duo lane as well. And that actually might work.
Pick Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank Nunu.
I'm ready.
The old consume smite over the wall.
I'm ready.
Level
I'm ready for
one.
Blitzcrank Nunu.
Wasn't that a Dignitas strategy
Oh,
like
I don't
last
know.
season?
There's a lot of interesting strategies.
If something crazy cheesy comes out, I'm going to be so excited.
Actually, Uzi plays Caitlyn as well, which I didn't remember.
that's true.
And that's actually a really good champ to lane swap, and they almost always fast push with it when they pick it.
Is the buff to defenses on a turret going to stop that one?
It hurts a little bit, but it's still fine. Like it's basically the game gets to a point where it's like you kind of have a tower in like within 8 to 10 minutes rather than like 3.
Yeah,
It
which
just-
is probably
It just decelerates it, but fast pushing's still a fine strat. And if they want to pressure pawn, they might actually 2v1 him with their duo lane. I don't know if Korn's going to survive the lane swap, but if they practice it, they did it last year at Worlds with a lot of success. They almost did it every single game, actually, back when they used to play with Tabe in support. But
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll happen again. That's a cool idea, though, and they're definitely going to have to watch the mid lane, because everywhere else feels pretty stable. Uzi might have a slight edge in the bottom lane, and Pawn has a gigantic edge in the mid lane.
Yeah, so we'll see whether Insect can control his lanes enough. But let's go straight into our predictions. Julian, I'm going to put you right on the spot. What is it going to be? How many games to how many? And who's going to win?
Well, do you want a real prediction?
Yes.
Or do you want my heart's
absolutely.
prediction?
Both. Okay, let's just take them,
So
rattle them off.
My
Let's
heart
go.
wants Royal to win 3-2. Because that would be a fantastic way to end.
And it'll be the
year of
comeback
League of Legends.
3-0.
Oh,
They'll fall down 2 games and then come back, and it'll be beautiful.
fine. We'll go completely deep, because I'm just making stuff up at this point.
Yep.
Yeah, fine. Reverse all kill. Royal 3-2 over Samsung White.
All right.
But I think in reality it'll be 3-1 White. I think Royal can take a game and they'll make the final competitive. But White look unstoppable this World Championships.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I think it's definitely going to be a white 3-0.
3-0.
Yeah, my heart just
I
does not see
I believe in
Royal
Insect.
Club
I believe
winning a
in-
game. I'm sorry.
I believe in
I'm
Mantheon.
sorry. Unfortunately, Insect's brethren have proceeded without him in that career. Just able to.
I mean, everyone was kind of criticizing Insect when he moved, but he's been playing really well this tournament.
He
so-
certainly has, and I think
I'm
there's
ready.
been improvement there, which is just ridiculous because Insect's sort of known for reinventing a lot of these champions, especially Lee Sin, but now brings out Fiddlesticks.
Yeah, he's
able to kill
at it
people
again.
forever with
He's
it,
ready to
and then
innovate.
Pantheon, and oh man.
And
That being said, I will dominate. I mean, that guy, bit of a Pantheon.
we didn't
guy
see
as well.
Jungle Yorick this year either. That was disappointing. Leveling let
Airwax,
me
wait!
down.
Airwax! Oh no!
Leveling let me down. But
Oh.
I think it's like, as much as we joke about the reversal kill just being a pipe dream, if that actually happens, I think Samsung Light are in a lot of trouble, because they've never been tested in a game,
Yeah.
really. They had that one loss to TSM that was them basically just getting super
That's
greedy.
the only game that they've lost
they've dropped
this
in the
whole
entire
tournament.
Yeah, which is dumb, by the
It's just
way.
ridiculous, especially considering how they lost as well. I mean, by first picking Cassidy and picking this dumb late game comp
And
that made no
I could
sense.
see them get greedy and drop a game again in this event.
Yeah.
But what might happen, if they lose like a real game,
Yeah.
Samsung, I don't know what they're going to do, because they're going to be like, how did this happen? We're not supposed to lose.
Kali again, like who knows? Just go full solo queue mode. And
I
just kill
honestly- I
everyone.
wouldn't-
I don't think you could. And I think that if your reverse all kill strategy is going to work, it'll be a game 3 victory for Royal Club, and Samsung White won't know what to do. I think
Yeah.
that that's the only way that could happen.
So if they get behind, and that's a big if, given how well they've been playing, it'll be a really interesting final. Like if Royal win a real game against White,
Yeah.
then the final's just going to be. If it goes 1-1 and like White stomps them and then Royal comes back and just like kind of picks them apart and outmaneuvers them, I don't know what's going to happen. That's going to be quite the final if that happens. But the Samsung White victory does seem almost assured at this point, just given how well they're playing.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But that does wrap it up for the show for episode 5, our final episode here. And of course, we do have the grand final happening on Sunday at 7 p.m. from Seoul, Korea. It is going to be absolutely amazing. There are MOBAs going on all across Australia and, of course, Oceania in general. You can find somewhere to go so you and your friends can sit around and watch some sweet League of Legends with a whole lot of other fans. It will be incredibly exciting. And massive thank you to our lovely producer and just general lovely guy, Riot Benji. And his love of Jace is not going to stop making
President
me
of the
upset,
Jace
but I'm
fan
going to
club.
deal with it for the next
If you guys
little
like
while,
Jace,
just
Jace,
because
please
he's
direct-
such a great guy.
Yeah, if you guys like Jace, please direct all your mail to the president of the Jace fan club. That's at Right Benji on Twitter, I believe.
Yes,
You
that
guys can
certainly
hit him
is.
up
At
there.
Right Benji. Make sure that you follow him if you do like Jace, and
You'll get a
unfollow
lot
him
of
if
it.
you don't like Jace. Let's be real.
And if you guys have enjoyed the show as well, please leave us your feedback. We'd love to do something like this again, possibly next year. And if you guys have enjoyed what we've done, we'd love to hear back from you about what you like, what you didn't like about the show. Should Max change his hair? Should I get a haircut? All these important questions
Should we
and more
switch
we
back?
need from
We'll
you.
switch back. We'll just change up our
Shirt
haircuts.
colors, whatever you want.
Yeah.
But chime in, guys. We'd love to hear your feedback.
Yeah, thank you very much, guys. I have, of course, been Max Atlas Anderson, joined by the wonderful Julian Pastrytime Carr, and hopefully we'll see you next year. Thanks very much for watching.